Hello, children. Welcome to math class. Today we are jumping into a new topic all about exponents. And exponents, are those little teeny tiny numbers that end up making us multiply things by lots and lots of times. So, first, like we do, let's start off with our vocabulary. Today we have 4 vocabulary words: exponential form, exponent, base, and power. Now, an exponential form. This is a number that is written with a base and an exponent. Any number that is written with a base and an exponent would be a number written in exponential form. And so that begs the question, well, what is a base and what is an exponent? An exponent is the number of times that indicates, the number that indicates how many times the base will be used as a factor. So the exponent is the number of times, the number that indicates how many times the base will be used as a factor. Okay, so we'll talk more about this as we're solving problems, but exponents are just repeated multiplication. And so the exponent, the tiny number, tells us how many times we're going to multiply the base repeatedly. And so that is why we need to know what the exponent is, because that tells us how much we're going to be multiplying. And so the base, this is the number used as a factor in exponential form. So this is the number that's going to be being multiplied repeatedly. The base, we multiply lots and lots of times, and that depends on how many times it tells us in the exponent. Okay, so the exponent tells us how many times we're going to be multiplying the base by itself over and over and over again. And then finally, we have the word power. And power is the number produced by raising a base to an exponent. Now, I'm going to give you real examples of what all these look like, so we can understand kind of what this means visually, mathematically, not just in a lot of words that we don't like to see. All right, exponents. That got really small. So, when we talk about exponents, the main way that we write something is we would write something that looks like this right here. 2 with a little 7. And so this 2 with a little 7, the 2, this is the base. This is the number that's going to be multiplied a bunch of times. It's going to be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, all the times. 2 is the base, and 7 is the exponent. That tells us how many times we're multiplying 2 by itself. So we would take this equation here, and we would say this is going to turn into 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Let's double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, 7 times we are multiplying 2 by itself. And then to solve that, we just multiply all those things. But this would be exponential form right here. This right here is called exponential form. That's when it's written as a base and an exponent. When it's written as a base and an exponent, it is exponential form. Sometimes it is called being written as a power. Okay, so this would be 2 to the power of 7 is how we say that phrase. 2 to the power of 7. We say base to the power of exponent. All right, and then to solve this, we multiply things out. So we go, all right, what is 2 times 2? I like to cross out as I go because it helps me keep track of where I've been. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 times 2 is 4, and then I've got one more 2 left behind here. And I go, all right, well, this is 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 times 2 is 8. So my final math problem I solve is 16 times 8, which is 48, and then that gives me 12. So 2 to the power of 7 is 128, and that would be solving for our power. So there's going to be a few things we do today. One of them, solving for powers. Another one, we're going to be converting between exponential form and standard form, as we say. Standard form and exponential form. So standard form would be something written like this. 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. That's standard form. That's just a math problem. That's a repeated multiplication problem. If I wanted to write this as exponential form, I would look for two things. I would look for what number is being multiplied by itself over and over again, which is going to be our base, and that is 5. Then how many times is 5 being multiplied by itself? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. That would be our exponent. So the number that's being multiplied is our base. The number of times it's being multiplied is our exponent. All right. So moving right along. Let's say we had something like negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4. We wanted to write that as a power. We would say, all right, well, this is negative 4 is the number I'm multiplying. That's going to be my base. I want to keep it in this parentheses. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Then I multiply the number 4, negative 4, 1, 2, 3 times. That's going to be my exponent. So base negative 4, exponent 3. I would say this is negative 4 to the power of 3, or negative 4 cubed. Cubed means to the power of 3. And another one we might say squared means to the power of 2. Okay, so these are the only times we might not say to the power of, is if it's cubed or squared. We'll say cubed or squared. All right. Now, when we talk about solving some of these equations, let's say we have something like 3 to the power of 4. We want to write this as multiplication. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Then we solve out these problems. 3 times 3, 9. 3 times 3, 9. 9 times 9 is 81. So 3 to the power of 4 equals 81. There is our answer. Let's say I had something like a fraction. And I want to raise a fraction to a power. I want to square 1/4. I want to times 1/4 by itself. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say, all right, well, this is 1/4 times 1/4. And then we know when we multiply fractions, we just multiply straight across. 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times 4 is 16. So when we square fractions, we just multiply them out. We write them out. We always want to write our exponents out as repeated multiplication and then multiply it all out. We know how to multiply, we know how to write things, and we learned about multiplying fractions. We should be good with that. All these things we piece together and solve our equation. All right, now I want to talk about two things, two different types of equations here. So we're going to have negative 8 to the power of 3, and actually we won't do that. We'll do negative 8 squared and negative 8 squared. All right, these are, they look the same. These are two different equations. Okay, and this is going to be one we want to write down in our notes. All right, so if you're not taking notes, this would be a really good thing to take notes on. So negative 8 squared, this first one. This is the same thing as negative 1 times 8 times 8. Okay, so when there's no parentheses, the answer will always be negative. Okay, if there's no parentheses, the answer will always be negative. Did you write that down? If there is no parentheses, the answers will always be negative. All right, now that we all wrote that down, let's look to this one. This one would be multiplying the negative 8s. Negative 8 times negative 8. Keeping those in parentheses and multiplying negative times negative however many times as we need to. So the difference here is going to be how our answers end up. This bottom one, negative times negative, is positive. 8 times 8 is 64. This would end up being positive 64. Up on top, this would be negative 1 times 8. It's going to be negative 8. Negative 8 times 8 is going to be negative 64. So there's a difference. You got to make sure we write out our problems, because sometimes it might be positive and sometimes it might be negative. So we always got to make sure we're writing our problems out to the fullest of our abilities. All right, that seems like that might be enough for today. Good luck. I will see all of you in class, and let me know if you have any questions.